is Aaron Curry.
Welcome to today. Welcome, welcome. Okay, raise your hand if you'd like more income in your life right now today. And raise your hand and say aye if you'd like to experience financial freedom at some stage for you or you and your family. Raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Brilliant. Okay. So possibly you're here. You're working really, really hard. You've managed to get a great job. You're working hard in the job and it's throwing off some money, or you've got some equity. But you're thinking, do you know what? Then maybe there's a better way than this, or there's an alternate way to build some wealth. Maybe you're here and you're a business owner. You took some risks already in your life to get to the point that you're at. You've already faced some fears to grow a successful business that's now throwing money off. And you're going, do you know what? I'd like another asset in my life. I'd like something else that creates me an income. Possibly you're here and you're later on in life. You're already financially free. You're retired, or you've already got some wealth, and this is more for your kids and your kids' kids. And for some of you in the room, possibly you're here because you're right at the beginning of the journey. You go, how do I even get started? How do I get some money in my life at all, in any way, shape or form? Now I want you to imagine, if you would, that you woke up this morning and you were totally financially free. You could literally do what you wanted, with who you wanted, whenever you wanted. You never again miss that kid's school play. You never again miss the sports day. Your friends and family look at you as a role model. It's like, wow, how did you get to be financially how you are? Please, will you teach me? Will you show me how to do what you have done? The ripple effect of your success is massive. Just imagine being in that place. Now, I'm sure you'd agree, if you want to move from wherever you are right now across to financial freedom and whatever that means for you as an individual, you probably need a new strategy or a new plan from the one that you've had so far. Again, if that makes sense, just raise your hand. So I know we're in the right room. Good, okay. So today, what we're going to do is talk about property being that plan. Property being the vehicle that takes you from here across to here. You see, for thousands and thousands of years, people have aspired to be landowners, to be homeowners. Thousands and thousands of years. In the last 85 years, property prices have gone up on average, even including the dips and the downturns, on average 7.9% a year right across the UK, on average. We've got 1 million house shortfall in the UK of what we need. The people that live here now, we need 1 million more houses just to house them. And that's growing. Every year, we've got a town the size of Southampton net migration into the country. And we're not building enough houses still. So that number's getting bigger and bigger. So supply and demand, we can't build more land. We can't build more land, so we're an island, we've a limited amount of land. All these things pushing on the house prices. Okay. Now, before we get into property in detail today, I'll give you a little bit of my backstory. Some of you will know me, I've recognised some faces, some of you won't. So I'll give you a bit of my backstory. So if you'd have been with me in around June 2000, I don't know if you've ever been in a place like this. We're in an old, run-down bar area. And you can actually smell the dank beer in the carpet that hasn't been cleaned for the last 4 or 5 years. And you know those sofa seats that you're kind of sticking to in your suit? You've been there, okay. And I'm waiting to meet the owner of the company that I work for, a guy called Warren. In fact, here he is. Warren, hey, pleased to meet you. Hey, Aaron, how are you doing? I've been hearing great things about you. Great things? I didn't feel it was going so well. Hey, listen, Aaron, do you talk to our clients about our mission statement? Debt reduction, asset accumulation, improved lifestyle. Do you talk to our clients about it? Here he goes again. Debt reduction. In the 6 months that I've worked for this guy, I've earned just £2,000. My debts are getting bigger. I don't have a clue what an asset is, and my life is definitely not improving. I do talk to the clients about it, Warren. Yeah, I do. And did you read that book I sent you, Aaron? That book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki. Did you read it? Do you know what, Warren? Actually, I did read it. And I wanted to ask you, you know what I'm earning. How can I possibly start buying assets and buying property when I'm earning what I'm earning? How can I possibly do that? Listen, Aaron, you need to understand there's no such thing as a lack of resource, a lack of time, a lack of money. There's no such thing. There's a lack of resourcefulness. There are people out there with lots of money and they don't know what to do. If you learn what to do, you can help them, you can help you. It will change your life, it will change your family's life, and most important to me, it will change our client's life because you can then show them how to. I don't know if you've ever had a moment in your life and you don't realize it at the time, but when you look back on it, your life changed like that. That was a moment for me. Now, if I fast forward you about 14 months, it's August, September 2001, and you find me at the back of a meeting, an event very much like this, except the room is about 1/8 of the size. Similar size audience, but we're rammed in, totally rammed in. And I'm stood right at the back, as close as possible to the door, so that I can escape if I don't like what I'm about to hear. Bit like you guys that came in and tried to sit at the back and Ben forced you to move forward. So, and you notice we've left a big gap, so if you try and escape, we get the paintball guns out and we get you on the way out, okay? Because I learned the lesson. But I'm stood right here and I'm ready to escape. And I'm running this story in my head. And it's a conversation I'd had with my mum literally a couple of weeks before. And my mum back then, she's about this high, grey hair, really kind of weathered skin, not from the sun, but because she's always out walking. But she's a real safe, secure person, really safe, saver, real safe, secure. Aaron, I told you not to get into property. I told you it was a bad idea. But Mum, when I first started, the first house I bought, the bank lent me the loan for the deposit, and then they lent me the mortgage. I didn't even put any money in, and I bought the house, and it started making money. It was great. But you told me you've got tenants not paying and people trashing your properties, and it's always a headache. Well, it is a bit, Mum, but then I bought the HMOs, the houses of multiple occupation, and to start with, they worked really well. They were making me good money as well. Aaron, you told me last week that one of your tenants had a massive party, a kind of rave, and they set the house on fire and the house burnt down. Yeah, that did happen, Mum. That did. And you told me you bought another property off a property sourcer or something. Somebody, and they tricked the vendors and told them they could stay there forever, but tricked them into signing a 6-month tenancy, and then sold it to you and told you could kick him out in 6 months, and now you're stuck with a tenant forever that's not paying enough to cover the mortgage. You told me that happened. Yeah, that did happen as well, Mum. That did happen as well. Gosh. Who's this guy I've waited to see? He looks like Mr. Scruffy. I'm here today to tell you that in the first 5 properties I bought, it took me 5 years to buy the first 5 properties, and it was a disastrous mess. I had tenants that wouldn't pay me. I had maintenance issues. I had people trashing my properties. This guy's speaking to me. This is my life. But what I want you to understand is in the last 18 months, I bought 80 properties, 80 properties in 18 months. And here's the one thing, if you take nothing else from today, this is what I want you to understand. When we approach something new in life, here's what we do. For today, it's property. Here's the jungle, and in the jungle, the other side of the jungle is our financial freedom. And here's the jungle, and in the jungle, there's these big, massive trees. There's some really cute animals. There's some really scary, deadly animals. There's all sorts going on in the jungle. And we approach the jungle, want to get to the other side, and we go to our kitchen and we take out our butter knife and we kneel down on the floor and start trying to cut our way through the jungle to the other side. And we wonder why 3, 4, 5 years from now, we can't even see the dream anymore because we've reached a 300-year-old oak tree and we can't even cut through the bark of it. We can't see the dream and we've not got anywhere near where we wanted to get. Yet, just 3 meters away or even 3 feet away, somebody else has already cut a path through the jungle and got to financial freedom from property. Or even better, they've already cut a motorway. And they've gone down it many times, and all we need to do is step across and follow them down that path. Or even better, jump on their back and let them carry us to our financial freedom. If you take nothing else from today, this is mastery. Mastery is finding somebody, the best in the world or the best in the UK, and just follow them down their motorway instead of kneeling on the floor. You've all got pens and papers. You've got them for a reason, because I'm going to give you some valuable stuff today, okay? And I know that sounds cocky. You can judge me at the end of the day, okay? But what I'd like you to do, I'm going to give you a quote, and I'd like you to write it down, okay? It's always good to write stuff down. Now, it's not my quote. Has anybody in the room heard of Tony Robbins before? Yeah. Okay, about half the room. Big grin up here, Tony Robbins. Fantastic person. If you've not heard of him, check him out. He's a great mentor of mine. So this is one of Tony's quotes, okay? It's in your moments of decision. It's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. It's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. It's in your moments of decision your destiny is shaped. I was seconds away, literally. I saw Mr. Scruffy. I was like, why am I here? Seconds away from out that door. 3 or 4 minutes later, I made the decision to listen. My decision totally changed. Because what I realised was my disastrous mess was because I'd been doing it all wrong. I had no clue what I was doing. More on that later. But now I committed to mastery and life changed. Now, just to finish my story off, and don't worry, we're not going to literally do every year through 2000. Let's fast forward to about 2013. It's about autumn time. And funnily enough, you find me in another bar, in another pub. Now, the reason that's odd is because I never go to the pub. I'm not a drinker. But the reason I'm there, I'm with a client of mine, a guy called John. And John is larger than life. Big guy. He spends every weekend in the pub, like kind of full of fun. He's sat at the end of the bar. He just loves it there. And he's a client of my Done For You service. We've bought him some houses on our Done For You service. He's going, Aaron, I love what you've done for us. I love you've built us the portfolio. It's meant I can do what I want. I love it. However, some people want it done for them. Some people want you to go out and teach them how to do it so they can do it themselves. I get what you're saying, John, but it's just not me. I don't do teaching. I love doing the deals. I love just finding the great properties and sorting those out for my clients. That's what I enjoy. Aaron, I get that, but it's nonsense you don't do education. You run a webinar every fortnight and over 400 people turn up to listen to you speak about property. Don't tell me you don't know how to educate and teach people. I know, John, but that's different. A webinar, that's totally different to doing an event or being on a stage. It's not the same. Aaron, listen, you have to do this. Some people want done for you. Some people want education. You need to serve them both. You say you want to serve everybody. You need to serve them both. And John was normally right. Not always, but normally. He's very sadly not with us anymore. He passed away about a year ago. But he pushed me. He cajoled me and he was right. Now, I don't know, some of you in the room will be like me. I'm a detailed geek, okay? Some of you are blue sky thinkers, and that's great. The world needs everything, but I like the detail. So when I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and educate, I wasn't happy to just start teaching. Here's what I did. I spent 18 months studying first. And here's what I studied. First of all, I looked at mine and Layla's journey. Layla is my wife. We've been together 13 years. And about 9 years ago, we were lucky enough to get from here across to here, or blessed enough to get across to here. So we got to a point, for me, financial freedom was when everything we needed to pay for was paid for, plus some groovy stuff as well, all from our property. So we got there about 9 years ago. So I looked at our journey and what skills I needed to learn to get from there to there. But that wasn't enough. Next, I looked at the few hundred clients that I'd helped get from there to there. Some of them on our Done For You service, and some of them turning up to my webinars, listening to what I taught, and then actioning it. And then another webinar, listen, and action. So they had to take the action, but they listened and learned as well. And I looked at them and their journey, and I went and interviewed them. Finally, I went and interviewed 50 people, 50 people, that consistently made £100,000 plus a year from property. So not just a one-off year, like a great development, they've made some money, they're consistently making it year after year. And I interviewed them all about their journey, what skills did they have, what had got them from here across to here. Okay. But again, because I'm so detailed, that wasn't enough. So the final piece for me was I went and found intelligent, articulate people that had the resources that could have done that I'd met in the past, but for some reason they'd fallen over on the way. Either fear had kicked in and they'd never even got started, or something else had got in the way, or they'd got 1, 2 or 3 properties and fallen over. And 1, 2 or 3 does not get you financially free. You probably need 8, 9 or 10. Okay? Depends on your strategy. We'll cover that later on. So, and I interviewed these people that could have got there and found out why didn't they? What was missing in their skill set, in their resources that stopped them? And here's what's interesting. I was able to identify 10 core skills. 10 core skills, and I can almost guarantee you, if you get to an 8, 9 or 10 out of 10, and you take the action, that you'll get to here. Whatever money you have to start with, whatever experience you have to start with, whatever time you have to start with, learn these skills to 8, 9 or 10 and take the action, you can get to here. But here's the frightening thing. If you've just got 1 or 2 of those skills missing, you can have 8 of them at 8, 9 or 10, but just 1 or 2 missing, or they're only at 4 or 5, I can almost guarantee you'll fall over along the way. You won't got to the end. And that's why so few people do get to 8, 9 or 10 properties. But you meet a lot that have got 3 or 4 or 5. Okay, now the 3 or 4 or 5 is still cool, but I assume in this room the reason you're here is you'd rather get to there. Okay, if that's true, raise your hand and say aye. Good. That was passive, okay? Right, aye, thank you, okay. So, would it be useful to know what those 10 rules are, yes or no? Yes. Good, or those 10 skills. That in this first session this morning, I'm going to teach you them, okay? Now, I can't do them in absolute detail, but by the time you go to the first break, you'll know what they are, so then you know what you need to master to an 8, 9 or 10 if you want to get to there, okay? So, how's today going to work? Well, what we're going to do today, we've got 3 sessions for you. So this first session this morning will run through till about 11:15. We'll just have a 20-minute comfort break. Back in session through till 1:15. We'll then go for lunch, and then back in session. We'll finish. It says 4 o'clock on that slide. Plan on 5. Okay? Plan on 5. It may well be 4 or half 4, but it depends on how many questions there are. It depends on how much content we get into, etc. Is it okay with you? I've got a load of content that I want to get into you today. I want to teach you as much as possible while you're here. Is it okay with you that rather than run a military operation where we go exactly to break on time, every single second is counted, is it okay if I concentrate on the content, and if the content's not quite gone in and I overrun, so be it? Is everybody happy with that by show of hands? Great. Lunch is actually at 3:30. Okay, so no. I will get you to lunch roughly on time, I promise you. But yeah, I'm not going to run exactly to times. It's more important for me to get the content into you. Okay. Now, and that's why it could be 4:30, 5. It depends where we go with the content. So, in terms of the day, just a few rules of the game for the day, okay? The first rule I'm going to make is I'm going to ask you to try my jacket on for size. So what do I mean by this? Well, here's the challenge that we have as human beings. If I meet Tony and me and Tony get chatting and I say something that Tony doesn't like, normally as a human being, if someone you meet says something you don't like, Tony's got the privilege of going and meeting another 6 billion or 7 billion people that live on the planet. So normally what happens is Tony goes, I don't really like that Aaron guy, and he goes and meets somebody else. Make sense? Yes or no? Okay? So that's our natural, as human beings, that's naturally what we do. Now here's the problem for today. I guarantee you, this is a promise, at some stage today, I will say something you don't like. I will frustrate you. I will say something that you don't agree with. For some of you in the room, by the way, I've already done it. Some of you came in and went, why is this music so loud? Why is he playing this video? This isn't about property. Yeah, and some of you are smiling, you know it's true, yeah? So it's going to happen. Now, I could turn up today and have a real comfortable day. I could stand up there all day and just tell you some stuff. You'd leave at the end of the day, go, oh, that was really interesting, and he taught me some stuff I didn't know. I've had a real comfortable day. To be honest with you, that doesn't get you results. Because here's the thing. We have to learn the stuff, but then take the action with the stuff that we learn. Does that make sense, yes or no? Yes. Yeah, it's not learning stuff. We all know geniuses in our life who get nowhere because they don't take action. So you have to learn the stuff and take action. Now, that means that in the few short hours we've got together, I need to teach you some stuff, but I also need to get you to shift your mindset a little bit. Because it's the shift in mindset, whatever your mindset currently is, has got you to wherever you currently are. So if you want different results, you have to shift in here as well as shifting your learnings. Okay? So I am deliberately going to say some stuff that challenges you. I'm deliberately going to say some stuff that pushes you. What I want to encourage you to do, like that Tony example, what I want to encourage you to do is if I say something you don't like, that's fine. Just go, well, I'm not going to take that piece of him. But don't switch off to the rest of it. Because if you've already switched off at 10 o'clock, you're just wasting the rest of the day. Okay? So trying the jacket on for size is about saying, do you know what, at the end of today, if I'm here, so I may as well try it on, what he's saying. If I don't like it at the end of the day, when I go to the back, I'll throw the jacket on the floor, say that was a load of rubbish, and I'll leave. And that's fine by me if that's what you do. Some of you will get to the back, you'll go, do you know what, really like these bits. Didn't like that, he said, I'll take that arm off. Didn't like that, he said, I'll take that. And I'll leave with a brand new body warmer. Yeah? And some of you will go, this jacket is freaking cool. He's taught me some great stuff. I love it. I'll keep it. Yeah? Doesn't matter to me which you do. Doesn't change my life. It's what changes your life. But I'd like to ask you to have an open mind and try my jacket on for size. If you're up for that again, raise your hand, say aye. Aye. Brilliant. Love the energy. Thank you. So, network, have fun, participate. In this room are action takers around you. So I'm going to give you some brilliant content, but the people in this room chose to give up a Saturday of their lives to come and learn about property. They're serious about getting from here to here. So guess what? They're worth meeting. When you go to lunch or to breaks, do not go with the person you came with. You can see them for the rest of your life. Yeah? Go and mingle, go and meet other people and find out what they're about. Okay? And find some people you could work with. Okay. Content versus breaks we've done. Hand raises. You'll have noticed I have this habit, this annoying habit for some of you, of going raise your hand or raise your hand and say aye. Okay? Couple of things. At what age in life do you learn the fastest? At what age? It's when you're young, isn't it? Someone's saying 3 here. So I don't know what the exact age, but it's when you're young. And I'll give you an example. Sophie, my 7-year-old, and she used to do it when she's 5 and 6 as well. When she wakes up in the morning, I might be fast asleep, she is prodding me, and she's like, Dad, what are we doing today? Where are we going? And if any of you have got young kids, you'll be getting this. You go look at those children in a classroom, 20, 30 kids in the classroom, and they're all like this all day. How the teacher controls it, no idea. Okay? But they're learning the fastest. Then what happens is we get teenagers and we say to our teenagers, shut up, sit down and listen. Even worse, we say, and don't copy your neighbour. That's a stupid idea, isn't it? Don't copy. When you think about mastery, you have to copy. Okay? Then we get to be an adult, and what do we do as an adult? We turn up to an event like this and we sit really, really still because we don't want to look like a freak to anybody else in the room. Don't want to stand out. Yeah? And then we wonder why we don't learn very fast. Okay? So I'm not going to get you jumping up and down. Please don't worry. I'm not a rah-rah guru. But I do want you, when you move, there's thousands of studies on this. When you move as you learn, it locks in the learning. It literally goes in your nervous system and locks in the learning. It's been proven thousands and thousands of times. So when you do the hand raises, you're locking in the learning without knowing it. When you do a hand raise and say, you're actually using your voice box and the vibrations, and that again locks in the learning even better. If you don't believe me, you're trying my jacket on for size anyway, so you're going to do it. Okay? So that's the plan for today. Okay? That's the plan. Raises. The other reason it's really important, as we get into content in session 2 and session 3, it's really important because it's good feedback for me. Because when I'm covering the content with you and I say raise your hand, and I see what some of you have been giving me, these little half raises, or no raise at all, I'm like, right, that hasn't gone in, and I'll recover the topic before I move on. So if everybody puts their hands up quickly, then I know it's gone in and I can move on to the next piece. Okay. So if that makes sense, raise your hand, say aye. Aye. The energy in here is phenomenal. I love it. I didn't even need to cover that. Good. Take notes. I gave you a pad on purpose. Same thing. You write notes down, even if they're illegible and you never read them again, in 6 months' time you'll remember 3 times as much. Serious. True. True, true, true. Even if you can never read it again. So just write the notes. You may as well. You're here. It locks it in your nervous system. Okay? And permission to challenge you, we kind of covered. It isn't a request. I'm taking it. Okay? I want to get your mind shifts to change. I want to get you to be able to move forward. So I'm going to challenge you. Please don't worry. I'm not going to bring you up here on stage and challenge you in front of everybody. But I am going to stretch you and push you. Please, if you're feeling a bit challenged by what I say, just rest in the moment for a few moments and see if there's something you can learn. Even if you don't like what I'm saying, is there some other learning you can take out of it before you run away from it? Okay. So they're the rules of the game for today. I've kind of covered myself, but just to finish off, for those that don't know, I'm the founder of the Insight Group. This is a group that for the last decade has had a done-for-you service. We source amazing properties, negotiate on them, sort the mortgage out, sort the solicitors out, get the property bought, refurbish it, tenant it and manage it. We just do it all for a client, basically. And we've helped our clients and investors to buy over 1,000 properties over the last decade. I'm sharing this just to give you a feel of, I should know what I'm talking about. Okay, I've been here, done this. I made a lot of mistakes at the beginning of my journey, but having done 1,000 for our clients, we don't make mistakes. We know what we're doing. So I'm going to share that knowledge with you, okay? And I've got over 200 properties in my own portfolio now. And with the education, we've helped to educate over 20,000 people in the last 3 years alone. That can be anything from kind of an online webinar. It can be an event just like today, a one-day event like today. It can be my 3-day property mentorship program with a wraparound year of training, right up to people paying me £25,000 just for an hour a week of my time for a year. But they know by the end of that year, they'll be virtually financially free. And if there's anything left to do, they'll know what to do. So it's a big investment, but they get a big reward. So, and kind of all points in between. So that's enough of us. Let's get stuck in and look at what are these 10 core areas that you need to master to really be successful in investing. Now, what I'm going to do to start with, I'm going to chunk it up to what I call my 5 Ps. And then each of the Ps has 2 subsections, okay? So I'll take you first of all through the 5 Ps. So what's the first P that we need to get right? The first P is purpose, okay? Purpose. And I'm just going to cover these briefly and then I'll give you the detail. So we have to be clear on our purpose. We have to be clear on where we're trying to head to and where we're trying to get to. There's no point setting off investing. Many people set off investing because they've got some money, they go, property might be a good thing, and they buy a property, but there's no purpose in it, there's no end in mind. Okay, you run a business with no end in mind, you're in big trouble. You go to work, have a relationship with no end in mind, you're in big trouble. Okay, so we need to have a purpose. More on this shortly. Next, we need a plan. If I want to get to that corner of the stage, I need a plan of how to get there. So I might say, well, I'll go here, then here, then here, then here, then here, then... But I need a plan that takes me to that corner of that stage. What's my third P? My third P is payment. Payment. Now, what do I mean by payment? Most people say, well, when you buy investment property, don't you put a deposit down and you get a mortgage and that's how you buy it? Well, yes, that is one way of buying a property. It's the most common way. But do you know what bridging finance is? In my early days, I used to go, bridging finance, I've heard that's really expensive, I'm not going to do that. Now I go, if I can buy a property in 2 weeks, I can get an extra discount. If the bridging finance costs me an extra 4%, but my discount's an extra 10%, that's worth getting all day long. I need to be an expert at bridging finance. Do you know about joint venturing, how to raise the money you need whenever you need it? Again, a bit more on that later on, okay? So we need to understand payment inside out, back to front. You need to be the expert at payment. What's the next P? Purchase. Purchase. Do we know how to buy at the right price? Do we know how to negotiate? Do we have those skills? Do we know how to make sure we get the right mortgage broker, the right solicitor to buy the right property? Do we know what standard to refurbish at, etc., etc.? Now, when you purchase property, for the majority of us in the room, when you purchase property, the majority of the property you've bought is residential property. It's somewhere for you to live in. It's your own home. Now, when you're buying your own home, which part of the body do you think with when you're making that decision? Heart. It's a heart decision. Because I want my kids to be safe. It needs to be a nest where they're safe. I want them to be a good local school, good shop. It's all a heart decision. I want them to be secure. When you become an investor, you have to shift out of the heart and into the head. An investor, it just cares about the numbers. How many people are interested in renting this property? What's the cash flow going to be on this property? What's the asset growth likely to be? What am I going to make out of this? It's all numbers. When I look at a deal, the last thing I do is look at the pictures. That might be 3 hours in. I look at the pictures. Most people go on Rightmove and look at the picture. Does that make sense, yes or no? So we've got to shift from being in the heart to being in the head. Okay? The final P is profit. Profit. Now I'm assuming you've not come today because this is your hobby. Okay? Now for a couple of you it might be. Let me tell you how you know. This is your 30th or 40th event of the year and you still haven't bought anything this year. If that's you, you know who you are, this is your hobby. Okay? Or maybe a way of finding friends. Okay? But otherwise, if we're here for profit, if you've got a lump of money that you have worked really, really hard to get, or you've got some equity and it's precious, you've managed to get this equity, okay, you don't want just single returns for it. Me and Victoria could have just spent today, I could have invited Victoria, the two of us could have sat upstairs all day, and what I'm going to teach you all, I could have taught to Victoria. She would have had a great day, I would have had a great day, okay? But I understand profit and leverage, and for me, if I can teach 70 people at the same time instead of just one, that makes sense. It leverages my time. You have to do the same with any money you have. If it's sat in the bank, it's earning you 1% or less. If it's sat in equity in your house, it's earning you nothing. Yeah? You want multiple returns. Multiple returns on investment, not just singular returns. Okay? That's where the real kick comes in. Does that make sense, yes or no? Yes. Yeah, okay. So when I put these 5 P's together, I call it my safe, secure portfolio plan. Why safe, secure? Because for me, if you've come today, by the way, for Get Rich Quick, you are in the wrong room. You're in the wrong room. I do not teach Get Rich Quick. That is not reality. You can get wealthy in a reasonable amount of time with property. You absolutely can, wherever you start from. But it is not Get Rich Quick. And I want to encourage you to do this safely and securely and with a plan rather than in a random format. Okay, and this will make more sense as the day goes on. Excuse me, I'm fighting a sore throat. Okay, so let's now try and break out each of these P's and give you some more detail underneath each of these P's. So we're going to start first of all by looking at purpose. Okay? So when we break out purpose, there are 2 elements that sit below it. So let's look first of all at the clear vision creator. So let's imagine this morning, if I imagine this morning that we, instead of meeting here, we all met, let's say in Newcastle, okay? And it'll make sense why in a moment. Now, one of my skills is not drawing a map of England, okay? But we meet here in Newcastle. And let's imagine it's the old days. We're all going to set off and look for our pot of gold, okay? And let's assume we don't know it because we've not defined it, but our pot of gold is actually down here in Brighton, okay? So we all set off looking for our pot of gold, but we don't know where it is. So this side of the room, you guys set off east, okay? What happens to you guys? Well, at best, you just got wet. At worst, and probably, you just drowned. You never got to your pot of gold. Okay? Now, this side of the room are smiling. They're feeling a bit pleased for themselves. They set off all sorts of west. So what happens to this side of the room? Well, on this side of the room, it just takes them longer to get wet or longer to drown. Because we fall off the island this way. Now let's imagine up front here, Helen. Helen, by total chance, total and utter chance, set off in the perfect direction towards Brighton. Who in the room would like to be Helen right now, by the way? Okay? Everybody wants to be you, Helen. Okay? Now, we've set off towards Brighton, but what happens in life, and particularly in property investing, what happens is we're on our journey and then there's a diversion. Or there's something else that distracts us and takes us off course. So Helen is going down the A1 really, really fast, and then suddenly it's, the A1's closed. You need to go along the M18. Now, if Helen doesn't know she's going to Brighton, what happens to Helen? She has a real picturesque drive through Wales, and she joins the rest of us in the sea. However, if she knows she's going to Brighton, what does she do? The sat-nav kicks in. So she goes, hang on a minute. I've come this way, now I need to go there. I need to go there. Need to go there. Need to go there. She knows where she's going. If she knows where she's going, she's got a chance of getting there. If you do not know where you're going, you have no chance on this earth of getting financially free. None. Okay, and I know those harsh words, but it's true. So I want to really hammer this point home. What I'd like you to do is think of an area in your life right now that is going really, really well. So it might be your relationship at home, it might be your relationship with your friends, it might be your fitness, it might be your finances, whatever it is, your business, whatever it is, think of that area. And I can almost guarantee you, you've all picked different areas, I can almost guarantee you, you'll have a clear vision of what you want it to look like. True or false? True. Now think of the area that's a disaster in your life or not going as you would like, whether that's your personal relationship. By the way, if you haven't got one, that's it. Okay? Your family, your health, your fitness, whatever it may be. Think of that area, and I can almost guarantee you again, you won't have a really clear vision of what you want it to look like. Does this make sense, yes or no? Yes. So if you haven't written it down already, your first action from today, get a clear vision. Got to get a clear vision of where you want to get to. Okay. Now, I'm going to go through these relatively quickly. When I teach these 10 segments in detail on my mentorship program, there's about 22 days worth of content. Okay, I can spend at least a day and a half on Clear Vision Creator. So forgive me, I'm just giving you a snippet for now, because we haven't got 22 days today. I'm giving you a snippet so you get to understand these pieces, and then you can work on them to expand them later. Okay? But we have to have a real clear vision. The next piece here, the confident investment formula. Okay? This is all about having the right mindset, and it's one of my favorite pieces. Okay? What do I want you to think about here? Well, the first one I want you to think about is that heart versus head thing. You have to shift to being an investor and thinking about the numbers in your head. It is all a numbers game. You're putting your money out to get the best return possible. It's a numbers game. It does not matter if I want to live here or not. If 20 other people want to live here and will rent it from me, then I'll look after them. I'll give them a good standard property, but that's what matters. We have to shift from here to here. But what else do we need to get right? I'm going to give you another example for you to think about. And what I'd like to do with this example, there are three main types of person in this formula that I'm about to give you. And I'm going to talk you through them, and you'll do all of them at different times, but you'll be one of them mainly. Okay? So let's have a look at this. Let's imagine, I'm going to give you another analogy. Let's imagine this morning that we all met up, and instead of meeting to learn about property, we all met up to learn to play golf. Is there anybody in the room, by the way, that does play golf or has played golf? Show of hands. Okay, a few people. Maybe once down here. Okay. So we go to turn up to learn to play golf. Okay? We put the golf ball down, we pick up the club, and we swing the club, we hit the ball, and these balls are designed to travel. They are designed for that. So the good news is, as long as you manage to connect with it, it might travel 80 or 90 yards. So we go to learn golf. And we take up the sport, and at first we're hitting it 80, 90 yards, then it starts going 100, then 110, 120, maybe 130. So in those early days, those early months, we're learning, we're growing, we're learning, we're growing, we're learning, we're growing. And often what happens is, you might go buy the kit. You might go, do you know what? I like this golf game, so I'll buy a set of clubs. How many people in the room have a set of clubs somewhere in a garage or a loft or a few more hands going up now, okay? Because we bought, you'll get this analogy in a minute. So we go buy the clubs, we buy the kit to go use to play golf. We might even join the golf club. And then suddenly you're meeting a new social circle and meeting new people. Learning, growing in different ways. Okay, all fun. Now, what always happens after a few months when you take up something new? And by the way, if you're not into sport, think of a hobby that you've got or think of learning something new at work. So what always happens after a few months is we reach what I'm going to call a plateau. Plateau. Whatever I do, I just cannot seem to hit this ball further than 130 yards. Whatever I do, I can, and I've reached a plateau. Okay? Now, the first type of person I'm going to describe of these three types is what I'm going to call a dabbler. A dabbler. So what does a dabbler do when they reach this plateau? A dabbler says, I knew golf was a stupid game. I'm going to give up golf. I'm going to quit on golf. And I tell you what, instead I'm going to go play tennis. So the dabbler goes and takes up tennis. And guess what happens? They go to the first tennis club and they learn to hit the ball over the net and it feels good, and they learn to serve and it feels good. Then they put some topspin on. They're learning, they're growing. They might even go buy the tennis racket and the kit. They might even join the tennis club, meet some new people, and it's all going great. A few months in, what happens? We reach a plateau. And what does the dabbler do? The dabbler goes, tennis is a stupid game. I know, I'll go to the gym instead. The gym's full of dabblers, isn't it? Full of them, okay? So how many people in the room are willing to admit that either in the past or now they have been or are sometimes a dabbler, by show of hands? Put your hands up high and look around so you know you're not on your own. Okay, now, what results does a dabbler get in life? Outstandingly good or pretty poor? Which one? Poor. Pretty poor. And why is that? It's because they set off and quit. They set off and quit. Set off and quit. It's like a little dance. Now here's the challenge. Here's the challenge. Can dabbling be fun and interesting? Yes or no? Yes. Yeah. So we dabble and it's fun and interesting. But I would personally, rather than have fun and interesting, I'd personally rather get serious and focused, because you have a lot more fun over there, I promise you. Make sense, yes or no? Yes. Okay. Josh, is 17 now, and he's now in a great relationship. But throughout his earlier teenage years, he was what you'd call a dabbler in love. Dabbler in love. He'd go out with this girl for 6 weeks, and then he'd be with a new one. Another 6 weeks, he'd be with a new one. Was it fun? Yes. Will it lead to long-term romance and love? No. No. Thank goodness he's learned about that, or he's learning about that. So, okay. So that's dabbler. I want you to think about dabbling and where you're dabbling in your life now. Now, let's look at the next type of person. And normally in a room like this, the majority of you are probably this one. And the reason I say that is this one are the people that get stuff done. If something needs doing, you get it done. Okay? So we take up golf. We're learning, we're growing, we're learning, we're growing, we're learning, we're growing. We reach the same plateau. Okay? But this person that gets stuff done, they go, do you know what? That guy there can play golf. That lady there can play golf, so I must be able to do it. I must. So they get the golf club out and they're practicing. They can't hit further than 130. They keep practicing. They've got blisters. They've got blisters on their feet from walking around the course. And eventually, one day, they swing the club back. They hit the ball. It flies through the sky 120, 130, 150 yards. And it lands right there on the green, 5 yards from the hole. And they are like, yes. This is why people play golf, isn't it? One shot a year that goes right. Okay? They're like, this is amazing, amazing. But what happens next? They walk up to the ball, 5 feet from the hole, and it takes 4 putts to get it in the hole, doesn't it? Yeah? Because what's happened is they were like, there must be a way, there must be a way, there must be a way, there must be a way. Eventually, boom, they hit that beautiful shot. They can now hit it further, but they get to putting, and they've reached another plateau. And they're like, I'm going to call this one a stressor, by the way. I'm not sure how you spell it, or even if it's a word, but a stressor. They're like, there must be a way, there must be a way, there must be a way, there must be a way. Must be a way. Eventually they learn to put, boom. Then they can't chip it onto the green. If they fall just short of the green, they can't chip it on another plateau. Yeah? This person gets stuff done. They're a great husband or wife because they get it done. They're a great parent because they get it done. They do great at work because they get it done. They do great at any sport they take up because they get it done. But it is exhausting. It is exhausting. Until 7 or 8 years ago, I lived like this. I had 4 kids at the time, got 5 now, but I had 4 kids at the time. I had 5, 6 businesses, everything going great. But it is exhausting being like that. Who in the room is willing to admit that either in the past or now, they have been or are sometimes a stressor? Put your hands up high and look around the room so you know you're not on your own. Okay? So, what's the third way? The third way is what I'm going to call mastery. Mastery. So we go take up our golf. We're learning, we're growing, we're learning, we're growing, we're learning, we're growing, we reach a plateau. What does a master do? A master goes, a plateau. I knew I'd reach a plateau. Aid, you play golf. You're a few plateaus above me. Would you mind taking me out for a game of golf and showing me how to play like you? Would that be okay? Yes? Great. Aid says yes. Brilliant. Thank you, Aid. Another plateau. I can't see your name badge. Steph, you play golf. You're a few plateaus above me and Aid. Would you mind taking us out and showing us how to play as well as you? Would that be okay? Thank you so much, Steph. Thank you. Mastery. Mastery changes your life. Changes your life. Now, by the way, absolutely no disrespect to Aid or Steph. They may be amazing golfers, they may not be. The best thing to do is just find this person, because then you go like this. It changes your life. If you take nothing else from today but this lesson, it will change your life. You want to get fit and healthy? You know, you go hang out. You want to lose weight. If you hang out with 5 fat friends that all eat donuts all day, that's what you do. Yeah? But if you hang out with 5 lean, green eating machines as your friends, guess what you start to do? You can't help it. You start getting lean and green, don't you? And you lose some weight. It's mastery. They're here versus here. It gets the shift in you. I mean, that's a bit peer group stuff that I'm linking in as well. But you've got to get around people up here. Find the best in the world, the best in the UK. Now, people say to me, when I bring this up, they go, but this is expensive, Aaron. This is expensive. You have to pay. Well, sometimes you do. You don't always, by the way. I'll come on to it in a moment. But sometimes you do have to pay. But if it's going to take you 10 years to learn it yourself, and someone can show you in about 2 months, would that be worth speeding up? Yeah? It just is crazy not to do it when you get it logically. Yeah. By the way, I didn't do it till 7, 8 years ago, so I'm not throwing stones, throwing them at myself as well. You know, the other thing, people say, well, it's all right to say that, but you can never get around these people. They're always busy. So here's what my response to that is, well, when are they busy until? So people look really confused. I say, well, have you rung up and asked if you can take them out to dinner? When, by the way, here's an action for you. When's the last time you found someone outstanding at something you wanted to learn and said, can I please take you out to dinner? I'll treat you and your family. I'll pay. I just want to pick your brains for an hour about this. And for most of you, it'll be never. Now, by the way, here's what happens. You do that and they go, I'm really sorry, I'm busy. Yeah? Because they are busy people. Successful people are busy. Success leaves clues. So then you say, well, when are you busy until? Well, I'm busy through until about February. Great, February the 1st it is then, we'll go to dinner. Oh, I can't do that week, I'm on holiday. All right, February the 8th. I'm busy that week. Right, February the 15th. Persistence pays off. Now, here's the other thing. People go, well, why would they want to teach little old me? Why would they take my offer? I want you to think about an area in your life that you're really good at. It might be something you do at work, or it might be a sport that you have, or whatever you're really good at. And now think what happens when if someone came to you and said, you're flipping amazing at that. Please, would you mind just spending an hour teaching me and I'll pay you to teach me? Would you say, no, go away? Or would you go, oh, that's quite nice. Someone thinks I'm good. I'll share my... We'd share it, don't we? It's what we do. Successful people are human beings too. They want to share too. They like it. Yeah. Does this make sense? Yes or no? Yes. Yeah. Honestly, I could go on this all day because it is just a game changer. But we'll move on. But you need to get this bit in your life. Mastery. Whatever you want to master, get good at, get around people who are great at it. Let's look next at plan. Okay. So the first one under plan, the simple selection system. Okay. Now, what was really, really interesting, when I went and interviewed these 50 people that consistently made £100,000 plus a year through property, out of the hundreds of property strategies out there, they used, each and every one of them, bar one, used one of just 5 strategies to get from there to there. One of just 5. So would it be useful to know what those 5 strategies were, yes or no? Yes. Okay. And then, what's even more useful is to work out which of each of those strategies best fits your personality and your traits. I hate this property industry that says, this year I'm going to sell rent to rent, and they try and get you all to come to a rent to rent course, regardless of who you are, what your characteristics are, your resource. Then, 3 years ago it was options or whatever it was. Now it's serviced accommodation at the moment. Yeah? And everybody gets on the bandwagon to sell you stuff. And I'm like, no, this is the wrong way around. Work out which strategy suits your resources. Work out which strategy suits you as a personality, and then learn about that one. So after the first break, when we come back in the second session, I'm going to teach you the 5 core strategies that those 50 people used. I'm going to teach you each of the 5, but more importantly, I'm going to teach you the characteristics of each one so you can work out which strategy is best for you. It's not one size fits all. It's what suits you. Expert team creator. I want you to imagine that this morning I rang you up and I said, do you know what? I've arranged for a week on Sunday that you can play football at Wembley. And again, those of you that are not into sport, forgive my sporting analogies, but I know you'll get it. So you can play football at Wembley. I've arranged this game for you. You turn up a week on Sunday and you walk in the dressing room and you're playing against a championship side. Now, if you're not into football, there's the Premier League, who are pretty world class, or pretty good, should I say, and there's a championship. They're good, they're professionals, they're good, but they're not world class. So that's the team you're playing against. You turn up for the match, and in the dressing room, I've arranged for my Sunday League Scarborough, it's tiny, Division 6 football team to play with you. So you walk in, and to picture this, for those of you who haven't been into football before, these are the guys and gals that last night were out drinking till 2 or 3 in the morning. They had a kebab on the way home, okay? And they turn up at 10 a.m. for the football game, and as they're running out onto the pitch, they're having a quick last fag before they get on the pitch. And any of you that have played Sunday League football will know what I'm talking about. Okay. So that's your dressing room. Now, if you run out onto the pitch with them, and you're playing this championship side, what type of results will you get? Outstandingly good or outstandingly poor? Which? Outstandingly poor. Okay. Now let's change the game. Let's say we're still playing football, but when I rang you up, a friend of yours was a guy called Alex Ferguson. Okay, if you're not into football, argue with the most successful manager ever, or of our time. So you ring up Fergie and you say, Sir Alex, please, will you come? I've got this game at Wembley. Will you come be my manager? He says, I'd love to. I've been retired 2 or 3 years now. I've not been able to be a manager at Wembley. I'd love to come. The most important thing you say is, by the way, will you bring some of your friends? He goes, of course I will. He picks up the phone. On speed dial on his phone is Ronaldo. So he rings Ronaldo. Again, just won World Player of the Year, second, third time, I've lost count. So he rings him up. He says, Ronaldo, I've got this game at Wembley. I know you've only played there once or twice. And would you like to come and play and be in my team? He goes, I'd love to come. That would be brilliant. By the way, Fergie says, bring some of your friends. You turn up and walk in that dressing room, and around you are 10, not just world-class players. These are world-class. The best players in the world, and you. You run out onto the football pitch with this team, okay? You're playing the same championship team. I take you and I tie you up on the halfway line. I tie your arms behind your back, I tie your legs together, and I just lay you down there, and they play this game. You're 10 world-class players against that championship side. And this game starts. What results do you think your team will get? Outstandingly world-class results or outstandingly poor? Which one? Isn't that interesting? Who is in your property team? Who's in your property team?
First class.
You see, when I started out in property, here's what I did. So I was starting out, and one of my properties, my buy-to-lets in the first year, the garage was falling down. So there's a guy called Paul that I played five-a-side football with. And I said to Paul, well, he was a builder. You're a builder, will you come and build me a new garage? He said, yeah, I can, it'll be £4,500. So I get Paul to come and build this new garage. He does a very average job. And within a year, I've met 3 more builders that all would have done it for £2,500 instead of £4,500, and all would have done a better job. So he was about a 1 or a 1.5 out of 10 for my team. He was the Sunday League Division 6. I then need a solicitor, and Margaret was the solicitor that had helped me buy my residential home, so I went, well, I'll use her then. So I plugged Margaret in, and she didn't do buy-to-lets until that point. So she was about a 2 or a 3 out of 10. Then I need a mortgage broker, and guess who I picked? You know that job I told you I had earned £2,000 in 6 months? That was me being a mortgage broker. So I go pick me to be the mortgage broker, but it's in my first 6 months, and I've never done a buy-to-let in my life. The mortgages I picked for my first 2 properties were with HSBC. With hindsight, the reason I picked HSBC was because they gave me a piggy bank when I was 8. That was how skillful my mortgage broker was. The mortgages were the second worst lender on the market at the time, but that's why I chose them. Okay? So my mortgage broker was like a half out of 10. I had an awful team, so what results did I get? Awful. You know, I wasn't joking when I said one of my houses burnt to the ground and I had maintenance issues. That was true story. Bought a deal from Professor. True story. It was a disaster. My first 10 properties were a total disaster because I had the wrong team around me. But you change that team and it totally changes the game and most importantly, your enjoyment of it. Okay? So, again, if you haven't written as an action, you have to get a world-class team, a world-class mortgage broker, solicitor, property sourcer, financial advisor, refurbishment teams, the works. Okay? Again, I can teach that in a lot more detail on my mentorship program. So this is plan. We need to get these 2 bits right. Payment. So the proven profit multiplier we're going to cover later on this afternoon. That is about getting multiple returns for a single investment. You know, I was saying with Victoria, I could do 1 upstairs, or I can do 1 to 70 or 80. You want those multiple returns. Let's look at pay-to-play principles. Let me ask you a couple of questions. If I said to you, how many people in the room in the last 20 or 25 years have at some stage borrowed some money from the bank, either on a mortgage for your own home or buy-to-let, on a loan, a credit card, or maybe even an overdraft? How many people, by show of hands, at some stage in the last 25 years have borrowed some money? Okay, put your hands up and look around so you know you're not on your own. Okay? Now, second question. Let's imagine you had in your bank £100,000 and the person sat next to you didn't have any money. Okay? And by the way, when I say this, don't turn to the person you came with, turn to the person that you didn't come with. Okay? That's someone you didn't come with. Now, you've got £100,000. They haven't got any money. If I said to you in the next 3 months, you've got to do a joint venture where you put the money in with the person that sat next to you and buy some property together, How many people, if they're being totally honest, don't worry about the person next to you, would say, do you know what, that would concern me a little bit to put all my money in with someone I don't know? By show of hands. Okay? And again, look around, virtually every hand went up. So, what I would now like you to do is turn the person next to you and say, I trust the UK banks more than I trust you, because I'll do a joint venture with them, but I won't do a joint venture with you. Can't hear you saying it.
That's me.
That's you, yeah? So, that's mean, he says, that's mean. So let me expand on this, because if I went open field now and I said, hey, let's shout out some comments on this, some of you would say, but the UK banks have been doing this for hundreds of years. Or, but they have a system and a process. But there's a legal charge on the property, so it's protected. Is it possible that property investors have been doing this for hundreds of years, joint ventures? Is it possible they have a whole system and process for doing it? And is it possible there's a way to legally protect everything, but you just don't know how yet? Is that possible, yes or no?
Yes.
This is a skill you have to learn. I want you to imagine, on my mentorship program, I teach be your own bank. Imagine I need £100,000 for a deal, and I can just go to Bland, is it Bland? Yeah, Blandy, and I can just raise it. And I can go to Toyin and raise another 100,000. I go to Aid and raise another 100,000. Rachel, another. If I've got a deal, by the way, when you learn how to raise £100,000 once, how much money can you raise? Infinite. Infinite. Once you've learnt the skill once, you can use it again and again and again and again. Would it be a valuable skill to have to be able to make people want to invest with you? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah? Now, it has to be genuine. You know, if me and Aid invest together, he has to win and I have to win. If I rip him off, no longevity. If it's all stacked in his favour, no longevity. It has to be right for both of us. But we have to get comfortable with this. You know, imagine I was having a dinner party. Well, no, in fact, let's imagine someone else was. So Anka was having a dinner party with all his friends, and he invites me along. And I'm at his dinner party, and a couple of hours have passed, and it's all been very nice. And I say, Anka, I tell you what do you earn? In front of all his friends. What do you earn? Now, if I did that to Anka, do you think he's likely to invite me back for a dinner party again, yes or no? Probably not. Probably not, okay? Now imagine that I'm at a dinner party with a load of wealthy people. What do you think wealthy people talk about at dinner parties? Money. Money. So now I'm like, Anka, what do you earn? He's like, you won't believe it, I'm doing this in the stock market, and I'm making this and this and this, and I'm doing brilliantly. I made £50,000 last month. I'm like, Anka, that's amazing, will you teach me? And I learn how to do it. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm going, well, I'm doing this with my property deals and this. He's like, that's phenomenal, can I do it too? Wealthy people talk about money, and guess what they get? More wealthy. What the majority of us do in the UK, and my parents did this with me, and I did it in my early 20s, the majority of us, the only time we talk to our kids about money is to tell them that we're skint and we can't afford it. Can I have an ice cream? No, I've no money left today. Seriously. Seriously. We're programming them that we have no money and we can't have money. Scary as heck. Scary as heck. But wealthy people program their kids to be wealthy. Yeah? You want to be thinking about this, but also making some notes. What needs to change in your life? What are you feeding your kids right now? Okay? So in terms of joint ventures, we all are programmed. Who in this room, if I lent you £100,000, could I trust with that money? As long as we arrange things, you would honour what we'd arranged. Who in the room? Put your hands up. Okay? Everybody, if you're not putting your hand up, that's very interesting, okay? You can see you guys down there, okay? Don't do business with them, okay? So everybody in this room we can trust, yet most of us would be scared to do a joint venture with someone in the room. So either they're all liars, and we maybe are too, or we can trust each other a bit more than we think. Does this make sense, yes or no? It's really important. So when we do a property deal, There are 3 core things that need to be at the table to be successful with the property transaction. 3 core things. Here they are. The first is that somebody needs to put some money in. There has to be money at the table. Okay, someone has to put the money in to be able to buy this thing. Okay? The second thing that has to be at the table, categorically has to be at the table, is time. Someone's got to put the time in. It takes time to research and find great deals. It takes time to negotiate, time to buy them, time to refurbish them to the right standard, time to manage them long term even. Okay? So there has to be time. The third thing that has to be at the table is experience. Experience. You see, when I started out with my property investing, and I'll tell you a bit more of the story after the break, but I put all the time in. When I first started out, I was like, I don't have any money. Warren had told me you have to go get resourceful. So I went and found someone else with money, a guy called Mark. He put the money in, and I put the time in, but neither of us had this. So the results we got as a result of that, we had money and time, but not this, were pretty damn poor. Those things were not at the table. Okay? So what you need to do, and again, we don't have time to do this in detail now, you really want to work out where are you out of 10. So what are you out of 10 on experience? What are you out of 10 on money? And what are you out of 10 on time? Yeah? Because if you're 9 out of 10 on money, I've got loads and loads of money, but I don't have any time, but I have got some experience, what you need to be doing to speed up your journey is meeting somebody else who can put the rest of the jigsaw in. So in this example, I'd want someone with loads of time and a bit more experience different to mine. Does that make sense, yes or no? Yes. But if I try and wait until I've got my experience to a 9 or a 10, and I have the time, which I'll never have if I'm busy with my job, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And I can do it the other way. You know, there can be someone with a 9 all the time in the world and no experience and no money. Well, go find someone with the experience and the money that doesn't have the time and make you both wealthy. Does this make sense, yes or no? Yeah. In this room, there are people with over £1 million to invest. In this room. But they never get the time, so they've still not got much property or not got any. And in this room, there are people with loads of time and no money. Wouldn't that be a great hookup when you go to break? Yeah? So mingle with each other and find people you can pair up with and do this stuff with. Okay. So we're going to do questions later if that's okay. So what I'd encourage you to do in all of the breaks, and sorry I didn't cover it earlier, in all of the breaks, I've got a full team here. There's kind of five of my team are here. So ask the questions in the breaks of the team. They all know the content inside out and back to front. If they don't answer the questions during the day, at the end of the day, when we wrap up, we will stay around and make sure we get your questions answered, okay? So just make a note of them. Because there's about 70 of you, I just can't take them during the event, because otherwise we keep stopping and starting. So apologies, Fatima, but we'll make sure we answer them, okay? Cool. Is that okay, by the way? Yes or no? Yes. Good, okay. So the next piece, purchase. Purchase. Well, there's 2 pieces to this. The stress-free letting system, okay? I have over 200 properties and I spend 45 minutes a week on my property portfolio. That is it. That is it. Now, people say, well, it's okay for you. You can probably afford to pay other people now to look after it all for you. That's true, but I always did this. It's how I set this up. I'm going to really strongly encourage you to build your portfolio to work without you. To work without you. Now, you might want to work on it loads. That's fine. Then you can add even more value. But what if you're ill suddenly for 5 years? Or even worse, your loved one is ill and you need to be there for them. Yeah? This has to be designed so it works without you. You can then add value on top, but it must work without you. There's another quote, actually, and it's taken from a guy called Brad Sugars. It's a great quote. A business is a profitable enterprise. And if you've got 1 or 2 or 3 properties, or 10, you've got a business, by the way. So a business is a profitable enterprise that works and grows without you. It is worth writing down, I promise you. Okay? A business is a profitable enterprise, it's got to make profit, that works without you. It works and grows without you. It's got to work and grow. So in that 45 minutes a week, I also buy about 5 properties a month with my JV partners. Business is a profitable enterprise that works and grows without you. Okay? So you might choose to work on it then and add even more value because you love it, but it works and grows without you in case you're ill, in case you want to travel around the world. Okay. The powerful purchase plan is all about buying the right properties. You've got to source with great price. You've got to get the negotiation right. Okay. This afternoon, I'm going to teach you how to buy what I call only diamond properties, the very best properties. By the way, if you're only going to buy 8 or 10 properties in your lifetime to get financially free, would you rather each and every one was outstanding or you bought a few duffers first and then a few outstanding at the end? Obvious question, obvious answer, yeah? You'd rather they were all outstanding. So learn to buy outstanding. Once you've chosen your strategy from the 5 strategies, then learn the rules for that strategy and only buy outstanding. Do not be in a rush or a hurry to buy something tomorrow because you've decided to do it. Be in a rush or a hurry to do it right. Changes the game, okay? Profit. The personal profit producer is all about making sure you set this up right for you. And this comes back to the vision piece. Some people in this room are already retired or virtually retired and they're doing this for their kids and their kids' kids. Somebody else in the room goes, do you know what, I want to build a portfolio so when I retire I can sell it and go retire and live in Spain and buy a dream villa. Somebody else in the room says, are you kidding me? This isn't for anybody else. I want to stop working. I need to build this portfolio so I can stop working. There's no right or wrong, but each of those 3 examples and all the different examples in the room would need a different plan. It needs to be personalized to you so it makes profit for you. So you need to learn this skill so you get the right plan. Stop buying one size fits all. Stop listening to people that goes, this is the best way to do it, just follow my way. Now you need to find what's the right way for you and your resources and your plan. Does that make sense? Just raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Great, thank you. The time-tested tax toolkit. This bit is all, we've had all the tax changes recently. Clause 24. Most of you might have heard of it, some of you may not, okay? So there's some tax changes to how income tax is going to work in the UK. Now, I don't have time today to do the tax stuff in detail. When I teach this on my mentorship program, there's a day's worth of content, a full day, okay? Because I teach people to be totally tax efficient. But what we will do this afternoon is maybe spend 12 or 15 minutes on it to teach you 2 core principles, real core principles that work the old way, that work the new way, that will make you tax efficient for life. What I love in property tax is in most taxes, the wealthy have these tips and tricks so that they don't pay as much tax as the middle class, the rest of us, okay? So, so they have their tips and tricks. Here, with property tax, whether you've got 100 properties, 50, 10, 5 or 1, you can use the same tips and tricks. And I'm going to teach you them this afternoon. In literally 15 minutes, I'll teach you what you need to know so you can be as tax efficient as somebody with 100 properties, okay? The other thing that I'm going to do, because we can only spend 10 or 15 minutes today, in fact, team, if you can write this down for me, Lara, that would be great. What we'll do is, would it be useful if I sent you out about an hour and a quarter long webinar that I've done on tax? That explains all of the Clause 24 stuff. So I'll get the team, Lara, if you can make a note of that and we'll send it out to everybody, thank you. So we'll send that out to you, it'll be Monday or Tuesday. If you've already seen it, just delete it, but if not, then you can go through it. So if you're wondering about Clause 24, that video will take you through that in detail, because I don't have time to cover that today. And it'll let you know, in basic terms, if your personal income, if you're on your own, is 50,000 or less, or if you're in a couple and your income is 100,000 or less, stop worrying about Clause 24 and the tax changes. Just, it doesn't affect you. The video will explain why. If you're over that income threshold, okay, 100,000 as a couple, 50,000 as an individual, if you're over that threshold, then it will affect you and you need to set up right. Then watch the video, it'll tell you what you need to do. Okay? Would that video be useful, yes or no? Yes. Great, we'll get that sent out to you. So, okay. So, I've gone through this quite quickly, but what I wanted to show you was the safe, secure portfolio plan. So you now know there are 10 component parts, and I'm not going to do it now, but for homework you could almost go, well, what am I out of 10 at each of these? Because you now know you need to get each of these to an 8, 9 or 10 out of 10, and then you need to take the action as well You can't just learn it, you have to take the action. But if you do those two things, I'm saying I can almost guarantee you'll get to financial freedom, wherever you're starting out from. Okay. So, yeah. We've got about 15, 20 minutes of this session left. So what we're going to do in this last 15 minutes, we're going to shift gear a little bit, actually. So let me ask you a couple more questions. So if before we went to break, I got a plank of wood and laid it from here to the back of the room there, and say the plank of wood was that long, that wide, and I laid it down there. If I was to give you £10, if you had a go at walking down it and you could get to the end, who would like to have a turn at walking down the plank of wood by show of hands? I think people have maybe not understood. Okay? There's £10. If you can walk down the plank of wood, it's this wide, it's on the floor. All you have to do is try and walk down it, and I'll give you £10 for having a go. Who would like a go? Okay. Those of you without your hands up, are you like loaded or what? I just don't understand. Or you're just never going to play. Okay? Cool. Okay. So we've got the plank of wood, £10 to walk down it. We virtually all do it, won't we? Apart from the rich ones. Okay. So let me give you another scenario. I take the same plank of wood, okay, and I find a skyscraper. And then I find another skyscraper here right next to it. And I take the plank of wood and I lay it across between the two. And you're stood here. I say, right, for a tenner, who would like to have a go now at walking across this plank of wood by show of hands? No. Okay. So there's 3 or 4 hands went up. Some of them were half hands, but 3 or 4 hands went up. And those people, by the way, that's logical, because that's normal in a room like this, because people say, do you know what, I'm not scared of heights, it's this wide, I can walk. But the majority of us, the hands are back down. Yeah? Now, let's imagine now that coming up these stairs are 3 gunmen, or women, and they are killing everything in sight, and they're going to find you. There's just no way they're not going to find you. They're coming up and everything's going. Okay? How many people in the room, knowing they're coming up, in fact, you've also got your child with you, okay? Knowing they're coming up, how many people in the room are now going to have a go at getting across that plank of wood? And look around, everybody's hands up. Okay, now, what is different here to before? What's different? Why would we now go across the plank of wood? What's different? Adrenaline, comfort.
There's no £10.
There's no. Take the tenner away, you'll do it. I get it. Well, I'm going to call it it's our motivation, isn't it? It's our reason why. It's our reason why. Our reason why became so strong that there was just no way we weren't doing it. It was certain that we were going to do it. Okay? Absolutely certain we were going to do it. You'll notice with me as the day goes on, by the way, this is my certain state. Each and every one of you has a certain state. There's a way that you sit when you feel certain. There's a way that you sit when you feel doubtful. There's a way you hold your body when you're nervous. There's a way you hold your body when you're confident. Okay? Now, what is your reason why? If we're realizing that this can affect us quite significantly, you need a reason why for your property investing to get you to financial freedom that is so big that it just happens. Does that make sense? Yes. Yeah, because here it's happening. There is no way you're not going to get that kid across there. No way. It is dead cert, guaranteed. And your property investing to financial freedom can be a dead cert guaranteed. But I promise you need to have a strong enough reason why. Because if your reason why, when you get nervous and fearful and you're not sure, you'll back off. You'll take the lift back down. You'll back off from getting to financial freedom. So what we're going to do for this final kind of 5-10 minutes is just a little exercise. And I'm going to get you to do some thinking for you personally. This isn't to share with me. You're not going to show it to anybody else. It is just for you personally. And I'm going to just take you through 4 questions to get you to think about how strong is your reason why and what is your reason why for doing this. Okay? Does that make sense, yeah? Okay. So what I'd encourage you to do, I'm not going to get you jumping up and down, but just shake your body out. You want to shift from listening mode into action mode. This is your opportunity for 5 or 10 minutes to make a decision. I'm saying shaking your body out, and some of you just won't move. They're going to look at me shaking. Okay? So let's go through the questions. I'm going to ask Vic to play a bit of music. You guys are going to write. Now, please write. Because writing locks it into your nervous system. And that locks it into your brain. We need to start programming this brain, going, brain, we are going here. This is happening. Because your subconscious brain is 40,000 times more powerful than your conscious brain. And it will get you where you need to get. Your subconscious brain's made you breathe all this morning without you having to think about it. Your heart's been beating without you having to think. It is so powerful. But if you can feed it and tell it where you're going, it will get you there. What do most of us feed our brain with all day? In our downtime, we turn on the news and we feed it negative stuff. Yeah? We watch EastEnders and everyone's depressed. Then we wonder why we feel depressed. Or we feel negative, or the world's a bad place. Yeah, Children in Need yesterday, people were watching something different on TV, suddenly we feel better. We don't feel good for those people that need the help, but we feel better because everybody's collective and pulled in together. True or false? True. So what we feed our brain affects how we feel. Affects how we feel. So if you feed your brain with a strong reason why, it will affect what you do and how you feel. Far more chance of getting there. Okay, so here's the first question. What is your why for doing property? What's your why for doing property? Rick, if we can have the Scottish stuff on, that'd be great. What's your why for doing property? And write this down. Write this down. What's the reason why this is important? By the way, those of you in the room that are not naturally passionate, now's the time. You need to, if you read this back, you have to be passionate about it. Here, you are passionate about saving your kid. You have to be passionate about what you write. So let's get that written down. Who will you be a role model for? Whose life will change because you did this? Write that down. Is it your kids? Is it your brothers and sisters? Will you be able to give back more than you give back now? Whose lives will that change? If you read back what you've written and it doesn't ignite you, you need to write some more. Okay, get this out of your body, guys. I know some of you haven't connected with your passion for a long time. Get passionate. It's important. Okay, second question. By the way, I'm going to go through these questions reasonably quick. I'm not going to give you any other homework or fun work to do tonight, but this is the one piece I would recommend you do. There's a reason that this is the first bit of written work I've got you to do. It's because it's the most important. This is the game changer, I promise you. So personally, I'd spend half an hour on this exercise. We don't have time to do it today, but when you get home tonight, do it, lock it in, spend half an hour and get this written up, and then stick it everywhere. Stick it on your fridge, stick it on your door. One of my students has it stuck above their bed on the ceiling. They wake up, it's what they see. Okay? But if it's important to you, if it's important enough, if this is going to be a game changer for you, you want this stuff around you reminding you. So when you get busy with other stuff, you've got the reminder. What's the second question? The second question, why did you come today? Now, I don't mean because you got a free ticket on Facebook or because your friend dragged you along. What I mean in the bigger picture, you've chosen to give up a day of your life to come here today, which I really, really value. But why did you do that? You did it for a reason. What is that reason? Let's get that written down. Okay, third question. Third question. Okay. I want you to imagine, I want you to write the answer to this in present tense. In present tense, as if you're already there. So I want you to imagine you are literally financially free, whatever that means to you, because for everybody it's a different number. For everybody it's a different life. What would really be able to happen if you were here? What would life actually look like? So I am financially free. I live here, I drive this, I spend this time with these people. This is what I do. Write it in present tense. I am financially free. Really important. Let's get this done, guys. Every single one of us in this room knows if you give £1,000 a month to charity, you can save 100 lives a year. 100 lives a year. How much will you give to charity? How many lives will be saved because you bothered to get good at this? I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. If you can give back more, you can save more. You can help more. How many lives will you save? Or what charity will you support? What will you do in your community? What will your kids learn from being around a parent like this that has mastered this area? What will their life look like? Who will they be able to help? What will your family learn? Your friends, your best friends that you care for deeply, when they see you successful at this? What will they do? Write this down. Get it written down. What car will you drive? How will you spend your time? Will you still work because you're passionate about what you do? You don't do the stuff you don't like, you just do the stuff you love. Or will you quit work and never work again and be in the spa? When your parents are sick, will you have to go to work and not see them, or will you spend weeks with them, telling them how much you love them? How will you spend your time? What choices will you be able to make? When you get on the aeroplane, will you turn left or turn right? 60 seconds more on this. Read it back. What else will life look like? What else? We're programming the brain. You need to tell it that you're serious, because you've not done this before. You're serious. This is what it's going to look like. Okay, you really want to expand that out. I tell you, this is the game changer. This is a game changer for you. Okay, final question. This is quite an easy one. I want you to turn to a blank piece of paper. Blank piece of paper on your pad, okay? And I want you to pretend, when I ask this final question, I'm going to ask you to write a number down. And I want you to pretend like you're Sophie, my 7-year-old, or Oscar, even better, my 2-year-old. Because they have no respect whatsoever for the environment. So when they get a piece of paper, they fill the paper. So when you write this answer down, I want you to fill the paper with your answer. It's a number you're going to write down, but don't be giving me one of these tiny little numbers in the top right and top corner or something. I want you to fill the page with your number, okay? So the question I'm going to ask you, and you want to be honest with yourself, it's for you, not for me, is how important it is to you on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is, this is not important at all in any way, shape or form. 10 is, this is massively important to me, I really want to master it. Now, there's no right or wrong answer here, there's what's right for you. You know, if your health is really bad, it might be health is a 10, and this is a 7, okay? But if it is a 10 or a 9, you want to get it written down and tell your brain, but do it big. You don't normally write big, do it really, really big. What is your number? Let's get that written down. Out of interest for me, and it's absolutely fine, like I said, what you are. How many people in the room are at 8, 9 or 10 out of 10, just out of interest? Put your hands up high. Look around, by the way. Look around, look around. Okay. So when you go to break, you want to go to break with somebody else who's an 8, 9 or a 10. That's why I asked you to look around. In the next session, the looking around is really important, because I'm going to help you pair up with the right people in the life. I'm not being disrespectful to people that just wrote a 4 or a 5, but if you've written a 4 or a 5 and health is number 10, you need to go to break with someone else whose health is a 10. You want to hang around with like-minded people. Does that make sense, yes or no? Yeah, to be honest, if you're a 10, you want to meet people who are a 10 in the break. Ask them to wave their pad at you and move on past if they're not. Yeah, you want to be with like-minded people. This isn't always easy, but it's what leads to great results. Okay? So you've been a fantastic audience this morning. I'm loving today, so thank you for your energy. I'm just going to finish off. We've got 3 minutes left. I'm going to just ask my team to come up and join me up here if you would. I always, at days like this, get asked, what else do you do? So rather than take up stage time, if I ask the team to come up, I can tell you what we do just for 3 minutes. And then when you go to the breaks and lunches, if you're not interested, that's fine. And if you are interested, you can ask the team about it and get the answers that you need to get. Okay? Can I just grab the clicker? So coming up here are my team, and I've also got a couple of gifts to give you as a thank you for coming today. So I'll start first of all with the gifts. Okay? What a bunch. What a bunch. Okay, the first gift, and isn't he a dream gift, is Peter on the end there. Okay? So the reason Peter's a gift, when you're refurbishing your properties, okay? So you buy a property and you want to refurbish it. When you go into B&Q, would you rather pay the normal price or get a discounted price? Which one? Discount. When you go to Jewson's, normal or discounted? Discount. Dulux, normal or discounted? Discount. Okay, Peter's life is about negotiating discounted deals from all the providers. So Peter's got 8,000, maybe 9,000 plus landlords now that work with him. He represents the Property Investor Reward Club. It's not one of my businesses, it's one of Peter's. Property Investor Reward Club. But the Property Investor Reward Club basically goes en masse and says, I've got 9,000 landlords, will you give me a discount? And guess what Jewsons say? Yes. Yeah? Discount energy prices. If you're buying energy for your HMOs or your service accommodation, would you rather pay normal price that everybody else pays or get 20 or 30% off? Okay? So when Peter said, can I come along to your event and can you offer my services to your audience? I said, you can, but they need an amazing, amazing deal. So here's the deal. Peter's going to be stood probably outside that door. Is that where you are? Just to the right. To the right. So he's going to be kind of in the corner here when you go out for a break in the corner here. If you would like access to all those discounted deals, all you need to do is go see Peter, put your information in his computer, and you'll get access totally and utterly as a gift from us for free. Not a penny. So there's no reason not to have it. If there's no trick here, you get it for free. Why are we doing that? Peter's doing that because it means he's got then 9,070 people, and guess what? He can negotiate even better deals for his clients, okay? And you guys get better deals. Even if you're only refurbishing your own house, you'd rather get stuff cheaper, okay? Does that make sense, yes or no? Yes. Good gift, yes or no? Yes. Brilliant. That's Peter, okay? Also outside, where are you guys stood? Are you guys stood just here as well, at this end? So we've got Sophie and Natalie, okay? Sophie and Natalie come from my mortgage partners, so the mortgage home, okay? So Sophie and Natalie, if I want a mortgage personally for one of my properties, they run the business that I go to, along with a guy called Richard. They run the business that I go to. They look after my personal mortgages. There's 6 or 7 advisors there. They know buy-to-lets inside out, back to front. It makes me really sad when I meet investors and they've been in the property game for 18 months going to events, and I say, what money have you got to invest? And they say, I don't know yet. I haven't worked it out. Or I meet people so often that say, I've got equity but I can't release it. And I'm like, well, who have you spoken to? They say, well, I've spoken to a couple of brokers and they say I can't release it. And we plug them in with Sophie or Natalie and in 10 minutes they've got a mortgage. And it's just crazy, absolutely crazy, because they've been working with 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10 brokers, people like the old me. Yeah, instead of working with 10 out of 10 brokers. So I don't want ever lack of ability to know what money you can release to get in the way. So again, a free gift, totally free. You can have a review with the team and they will review your situation and let you know what you can release or where you can release it. By the way, if you know what you can release already, but you're going to look to buy something in the next year, I assume you are, otherwise you wouldn't be here, then sign up for the free gift. You can use it then. Yeah, you can use it in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Literally, again, all you have to do is give them your name, email and phone number, which I have already, to them, and then they will know you're interested and they will follow up with you and help you. Good gift, yes or no? Yes. Yeah, take advantage. This is world-class team I'm giving you on a plate, so you're crazy if you don't take advantage, okay? Final piece, the insight group ourselves, okay? These 5 people with the rows in the middle from the insight group. So if you're interested in what I do and anything that we do, these are the people you need to speak to. There are 3 ways that we can help you forward with your journey. The first is from an education point of view. So I've mentioned the mentorship program a couple of times, Property Mentorship Academy. It's a 3-day event, but I don't believe that going to a 3-day event is the best way to learn on its own. Too many people in the industry, you do a 3-day event, you come back with all the best of intentions and then you run out of steam. So when somebody commits to do a 3-day event with me, I commit for a year to mentor you, for a year to be giving you any advice, answering every single question you've got, making sure you get your questions answered and you know what you're doing. I'll look at your deals for you. I'll make sure the magic happens, okay? So it's a year's wraparound training, and there's also online videos and all that stuff. So if that is of interest to you, speak to the team, these 5 wonderful people here, and they will explain that in more detail. If the done-for-you service is of interest, if you're like, well, I don't want to get educated, I like the idea of someone doing this for me, I'll just put the money in and just get it done, then we've got 2 products. There's the Cash Flow Builder, which is family-let properties, really safe and secure, but all done for you, okay? We're buying for cash flow, because it's called Cash Flow Builder, so 8% plus yield at purchase, okay? You've got to be getting 8% plus on the yields. Full team in place, so it's all hands-free. If you go back to that triangle, Matt, Sophie, you can stand out of the way, this is for people that have the money, but we put the time and the experience in. Okay, so if you're in that position, then done for you might be right for you. If you're not, it's not. Okay, we put the time and the experience in, and we give guarantees with everything we do. Average investor in this puts £105,000 in. You can start with 35,000. We've got people put up to 2 million in, and it's only 3,500 plus VAT in terms of investment fee. So it's really, really easy to get into. If you're interested in that, there is a brochure at the back of the room, just as you go out, some blue brochures. You can just pick one of those up and have a look at it, or you can speak to any of the 4 gents here, okay? Lara looks after the education piece, okay? The other option you've got is portfolio builder. Some people say cash flow is not so important to me. It's more about long term. I'd rather buy with discounts today. Then we have portfolio builder, which is family let, safe and secure. Buying for discount, so we get 15% plus discount every single time. Full team in place, hands free. Again, we're putting the time and the energy in. 110,000 investment there. It costs more because we're buying with discounts. Costs more, so you actually pay a higher fee, and you also give a share of the profits to me, but I am your JV partner. So some people say I'd rather pay more and have Aaron personally as my JV partner. Other people say I don't want Aaron as my JV partner, I'd rather pay a bit less and go for cash flow builder. So again, if you're interested in either of those products done for you, speak to any of the 4 gents here. I'll let you guys get off the stage and out of the way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to break. We'll break, what time are we on? Just gone 20 past. So if I can ask us all to be back in the room promptly for 20 to 12. Now what we're going to do when we come back, we're going to get really stuck into what are the 5 core strategies that consistently make people £100,000 plus a year, okay? And then I'm going to teach you to pick the right strategy for you based on your resources, the characteristics that you have and what you like and enjoy. So by the time we go to lunch, you will have been able to choose the right strategy for you, then you know what you need to learn more about, if that makes sense. When we go to lunch, we do lock all the doors, so we ask everybody to leave so the hotel can come in and clear up. It's up to you whether you leave your bag or not, but if you've got stuff you want to take with you to break, take it with you because the doors will be locked so we can just clear the space and get set up for the next session. So hope you've enjoyed the first session. As I say, grab a tea or coffee, back in here promptly please for 20 to 12. Grab something to eat, we'll go to lunch about 1:15. See you shortly. Thank you, thank you, thank you.